Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
It's all about running backs and receivers in this week's waiver wires. Kenneth Darby was the backup running back, is the backup and now starting running back. It looks like it may be for the Rams, as Steven Jackson had a groin injury. We're hoping this isn't a tear. We're going to find out on Monday, but if so, Jackson will be out for a long time. If not, he'll probably be out this week against the Seahawks. Darby at least will be a decent depth for your team. Bye weeks are coming up, so you may need to be looking for a guy that can help fill and help your team. Like running backs like Jamal Charles, Adrian Peterson, they're going to be out this week, so keep that in mind. Benjarvius Green-Ellis, here's a guy that may be the top waiver wire option at running back that's probably available in your league. Fred Taylor left with an injury later in the game against the Buffalo Bills, but Green-Ellis, he had 16 carries, 98 yards, and a touchdown. So the door has been left wide open for this guy to produce. Remember, Lawrence Maroney, he is gone. So Ellis, he could end up being a bit of a productive back to have on your team. You know, with the Patriots, they're never going to tell you if a guy like Taylor's going to be out probably for a long time. If they do, that's a gift. But I'd go ahead and get Green Ellis, even if they did say he's okay. Peyton Hillis, he's probably not going to be available in your league. Wow, what a game he had against the Ravens with Jerome Harrison out. Harrison, he had obviously lost the goal line job to Hillis, and so that was one of the reasons why a guy like Hillis has been getting play since week 1 for that. Then week 2, Harrison just ineffective, and then he got injured, so Hillis was a guy that a lot of people were talking about. Didn't have the greatest of matchups, so maybe that's why he would still be out there, maybe in your league. If he is, swoop him up right away. Willis McGahee, Ray Rice had an injury late in the game, maybe out for a week or two, so Willis McGahee would be the starting running back for the Ravens this coming week. He's got a horrible matchup against the Steelers, but after that, he could be useful if Rice's knee should linger. Maurice Morris, Javid Best, looks like he had an injury to his toe, may have injured some ligaments against the Vikings. That's not good news. He could be out maybe a little while here, so Maurice Morris would probably get the opportunity if he was out. Morris did fill in, would have some halfway decent fantasy games there towards the end of last year. I believe they play the Packers next week, so it would not be a good play. But hey, anytime you can put some depth on your team, especially if you have some injuries for some of the backs that we've been talking about here in Jackson, Rice, or Best, then you may want to think about getting that depth. At receiver, Brandon Lloyd, he had a huge game. Second game he's had that's a good solid game in the last 3 weeks. Had 160 plus yards and a touchdown against the Colts. But I'm going to say here, I just want to be clear that I don't think any Denver receiver at this point in time is an every week play. Go ahead and pick him up for your bye weeks, but there's just too many of them. Kyle Orton spreading the ball out to a lot of them, and I think you'll just see, one or two of them will have a good week this week, then another one or two of them will have a good week the next week, and it won't be consistent. But he's still a guy that's worth having on your team, and you can use him in spot play. Lewis Murphy, another guy to use in spot play. Bruce Gradkowski, he loves this guy. You have to say he is the number one pass catcher on this team when Gradkowski's on the field at least, and he is the starting quarterback right now. So Murphy had over 100 yards receiving against the Cardinals, and he also had a decent day the week before against the Rams. Roy Williams, hey, did somebody drop him in your league? If they did, then he may be available for you to take this week. They're on a bye, but he did have over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and so maybe he's not ready to give up that job to Dez Bryant just yet. And I think one thing is clear with the Cowboys, you can pretty much say they are going to be a throwing team this season, not a running team. Lance Moore, probably the top receiver to get out there for waiver wires. Reggie Bush gone. Maybe this is a solution for them to have success in the passing game. So Moore 2 years ago, he was a guy that was worth starting in fantasy leagues. Last year, he was hurt. This year, it looks like he's back, so definitely it's worth a flare of picking up and putting on your team. And then one team defense that I do have is obviously that Chiefs defense and special teams. They have one of the most explosive special teams out there in the league, and they're led by Tamba Ali as far as getting sacks and getting to the quarterback. Tamba's had a good year last year. He's following up with a real nice season this year and probably going to end up going to the Pro Bowl. I believe he had 3 sacks against the Niners, and he's been good this year just about every single game. Brandon Flowers is also broken out in his third year as a corner. corner. He's had a great game against the Niners, and he also had a pickoff for a touchdown. So it looks like they've got themselves a nice number one corner and a growing defense.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy football with your free subscription.